Hey there, Cam from Training Tilt here. Today I just wanted to talk about some business model options for running triathlon and endurance coaching businesses. Each of the models has their own challenges, and sometimes you might have a mix of a few. So first I'm just going to take you through the traditional coaching business model, which is one-on-one coaching. So most coaching businesses just start out with one coach, like a solo business owner, and they get some athletes that they can do one-on-one coaching with, charge them a certain amount, get a certain number of athletes to, that's how they generate the revenue in their business. So I've got this chart here. I've got revenue in green, expenses in red, time across the bottom, and money across the top there. So this is one-on-one coaching model. So you get a few athletes as a coach, and you can pop up your revenue like this. And then, of course, every business has expenses. So you can pop up your expenses like this. And this isn't an accounting lesson, but what you end up with in here is pretty much your profit. So what happens with one-on-one coaching business, of course, if you've got one coach, you've only got so many hours in the day and you need to spend X number of hours with each athlete to offer good service, then you'll soon reach your ceiling of how many athletes you can coach, and in turn how much revenue you can make, and then how much profit you can also make. So then a lot of coaching businesses think, oh, I could, there's enough athletes out there, I can get some more athletes on, but I just don't have time to coach them. So maybe I'll hire a coach. So then you go, right, let's hire a coach. So we've got coach 1. So then you're, I'll hire a coach, so now I have to pay him or her a fair amount to do the coaching. So your expenses pop up as well. Expenses down here. So now, because you have to pay them a fair amount, you can only take a small margin of this new revenue. So your profit pops up and gets a little bit more. But not too much more. So then you get to that point and you think, okay, so I can still attract some more athletes. So maybe I'll hire a third coach. So then you coach up here, and you go coach 3, and again you have to pay them a fair amount, so your expenses are going to pop up like this, and now your profit is in here. You can see that it's getting a little bit bigger each time, your profit margin, but as you can see, as each coach comes on board, so does your expenses. So then you might go, all right, let's crank this up. Coach 4. Again, expenses pop up, and here's your profit in here now. Okay, so now this is when this gets tricky, because now from your original coaching business, one-on-one coaching that you really love, which is why you do it, now you've got 3 other coaches to manage, and you've also got up to three or 4 times as many athletes to manage. So that's a lot of admin, and these coaches, they're not going to do all the business-related admin stuff that gets created from having this type of business model. So that's fine, if you want to do that, all of that management and spend more time doing that than actual coaching, that's a decent business model. But as you can see, you can only incrementally increase your profit margins. So that's going to get to a point where you're going to have to stop coaching completely if you keep growing this model. So that's where another business model can come in. So that's like digital products. So things like training plans, online memberships, that sort of thing. So stuff you create once and sell over and over again. So that's like, if you say this is one-to-one, that could be one-to-many. Like one training plan could be sold to many athletes. So let's draw that up. So again, we've got this chart here. We've got dollars here, and then we've got time across the bottom. Well, that's an ugly looking E. Time across the bottom. Right, so this business model is actually a lot harder than this business model. The reason being because this business model, it only ends up being a relatively small amount of customers. So if you're a local business, you don't need to have a lot of marketing and sales skills and experience, or even spend that much money on marketing to make this work, because you only have to reach a small amount of customers. So each coach might be 15 to 20 athletes, depending how much you charge and how much time you spend with them. So in your local area, you could easily attract that many athletes without spending much on marketing. Whereas with this digital products, training plans, memberships, etc., at a much lower price point, you need to attract and reach a much larger audience for it to be profitable. So that's when you need to learn marketing, sales, particularly digital marketing, how social network advertising works, how to determine customer personas, how to really reach people on a deeper level without being sat down with them one-on-one like you do up here. So the other thing is, as well, this model down here isn't mutually exclusive to this model. So if you do this, you still need to be doing this, but you might just do it in here, or maybe one coach or something like that. And the reason is no one's going to buy your digital products, sign up to your memberships if you don't have credibility in terms of your one-on-one coaching ability. So you need to still do this to build trust, so people know that you're a good coach, which typically is not going to be a problem anyway, because this is what coaches love to do. So you just add this as an extension to your business, so you don't have to go all the way down here if you don't want to. So let's talk about a lot of challenges that people come up with when they try and do this model here. So I see this all of the time. And mainly it's about expectations. People don't understand how this business model works. So unlike this one, you can't just pop up here with your revenue. So first you actually start with your expenses. So you need to first create your products and services. So you need to create your training plans, have a way for them to be purchased, create your membership plans, have a platform that people can log into to access their benefits that they get through their membership plans. And then you need to have some marketing expenses, creating your logos, creating images for advertising, all that sort of thing. So that costs money. So that's going to pop up quite high up here to begin with. That's before you can even offer anything for sale. And then that might come down a bit like that once you've created all of that stuff. And then you might have a bit of a straight line of expenses like that. And then when you first get started, typically coaches don't have a lot of experience with marketing and sales, digital marketing. So there's a big learning curve. So what will happen is you might get a little bit of revenue and it'll go up and down, and then you don't really know what's happening. You know, you're new, so you're figuring stuff out. So then what you've got in here is actually a loss. So you can see already the difference between this one and why most coaching businesses just do this model. So this is a challenge, right? And this is where the point that most coaches give up on this sort of thing, and they think that it's not working. But in actual fact, this is how this business model works. So there is no way that you can just become profitable straight away, because you need to spend some money up front before you can earn any revenue through sales. So if you can get through this point, then you might have learned a little bit, and then you start figuring out your digital marketing, and then you start to get some traction. So then you might start to pop your revenue up a little bit like this. Your expenses are going to stay pretty much the same. You're going to go across here. but then you've still got a loss. So you need to understand that in this business model you have to be able to sustain that. And then you just keep going, then you'll do a little bit better and you'll start to get a bit more traction and you'll reach this point here, which we will call break-even point. So at this point you're spending the same amount as you're earning. So as much as that's not that exciting because you're still not making any money, it is quite a significant point to reach. So a lot of most businesses other than service businesses have to live by this model anyway. So you might have heard a lot about break-even point. So that's a real goal for people to get to. The great thing about when you reach break-even point is your expenses continue to be reasonably flat. I mean, they might pop up and down a little bit, go up as you scale, but your revenue will continue to grow at this, right here. So then after break-even point, you're in here and you start to get some profit. So then this is when we talk about scalability. So this business model up here, it's not highly scalable. So each coach you add a similar amount of expenses, so your profit margins are really small. But down here, each sale you make, because you're making stuff once and selling it over and over again, digitally or online, the profit margins can be quite high once you reach that break-even point. So they can continue to rise up here. And sure, they might flatten off a little bit. It's still a niche market, but you can definitely scale your business and earn a lot more profit margin than you can in this model here. So then your expenses keep going across the top, across quite flat, and then your profit is in here. It's getting bigger and bigger. So you can see here that this profit margin is broadening quite high, whereas this one here is only incremental. So then you can keep going a little bit more. You might flatten out a bit more as you go. Expenses might pop up a little bit as you scale, but you can see this is what we call a scalable business model, because you can scale it to more and more customers and it will make you more and more money without costing you more and more expenses relatively. So then the thing is, most people never make it to this point because they think that this through here is them failing and that this is the business model not working. So like I said earlier, in actual fact, this is a requirement of this business model. This is not that the business model doesn't work or that you haven't done a good job of the business model. This is just a requirement of it. Now, of course, you can accelerate how you get to the break-even point, and you can do that by, instead of considering this a loss, you need to consider that as an investment. So if you invest heavily in here, then you can get to your break-even point quicker. So what do I mean by investment? Of course I do mean money. But what I mean more than money is time. Your time to learn the skills, knowledge required to make this business model work. So skills, and knowledge, which results in the experience to bring this green curve up faster than what it might normally do. So a lot of people battle in here because they don't have those skills. So if you invest your time and some money into learning those skills, then you can accelerate that point to break even. And if you don't invest in that, then you may not reach that break even point at all. And I think that's quite common. So I want to leave it there, I think. Hopefully that explains particularly this type of business model versus your one-on-one coaching model, and maybe it's helped you consider whether this type of business model might be a good addition to your coaching business. So thanks for watching, and go and take a look at our blog for other tips and advice on the business side of triathlon running and endurance coaching businesses. All right, talk again soon.